Hi, and welcome everyone around the world. You're listening here in the United States, in the UK, Australia, wherever you are. You're listening to Knowledge of Spirit Radio, and my name is, I am celebrity psychic Jesse Bravo, and the greatest co-host in the entire world, okay? We have Alan Cox, UK's top psychic radio presenter. Alan, say hi.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be back here with you once again, and thank you for that brilliant introduction, Jesse.
Listen, every week it gets better and better. You're going to be the greatest co-host in the universe when I'm done.
And you are.
Well, guys, I want to thank you for showing up tonight and for listening. I want to let you know just a couple of things. At any time you want to listen to a download show or a show, go to knowledgeofspirit.com. We're actually having our first magazine that we're going to be putting out in July. It's going to be a completely free magazine. Go to knowledgeofspirit.com and sign up for the newsletter in the contact area. What we're also going to have is we're going to have a giveaway. At the end of June, anybody who signs up on our fan page on Facebook on Knowledge of Spirit, we're going to put them all together in a hat. We're going to draw them, and me and Alan are going to give a free half-an-hour reading to 2 lucky listeners on the show. Now, out of millions of people, I know that's a small chance, but you know what? If you put your name in the hat, at least you got a shot, okay? On top of that, if you have any questions whatsoever, put it over to us, and we can answer it on the show live on air. But you know what? Forget about all this. We got one of the greatest guys in the entire world. Matter of fact, when I saw his picture, it freaked me out because he's a twin. And then the whole genre just throws me for a loop. But it was the greatest thing in the world, and we have, obviously, Christopher St. Booth. Now, if you don't know about him, this guy has done everything that you can possibly imagine. And his spirituality is off the roof. And you know what? Enough about me talking about him. Let us talk about him. I'd like to introduce you guys to Christopher St. Booth. Hi, Chris. How are we doing?
Hello. I'm fabulous. How are you?
Oh, God, I'm so happy to finally get a hold of you. Getting a hold of you is harder than getting a hold of the President Obama, I can tell you that much.
We've just been really busy. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I try to get back as fast as possible. I mean, sometimes, like when you wrote me, I didn't even kind of know who he was, but I knew who Alan was.
Yeah, you see
that's right, Chris.
Those things stick together, you know.
That's right. That's why you're here, really, isn't it? It's because of me.
I figured that.
Well,
anyway, yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
That's absolutely brilliant. It's great to talk to you again, Chris.
Yes, it is. We've got to have a drink sometime.
That would be really good. Yeah, next time I'm over there or you're over here, we'll have to meet up. That would be really, really good. So, after you, Jesse, right?
Sure. You know, listen, you know, I always want to get to the meat and potatoes, Chris, because that's what I love to do. I love my meat and potatoes, but we got to start in the beginning, right? So let's start from the beginning. Now, I heard that you're not originally from the United States. You're originally from the UK, right?
Yorkshire, yeah, the north of England.
Beautiful county.
Yes, it is. I'm actually, my mom, God bless her, rest in peace, she's actually laid... her ashes are laid at Aidan's Wall.
Really?
Aidan's Wall is absolutely incredible. I mean, he was talking about spirituality, but Aidan's Wall. And I can't remember, was it 14th century, is it? The wall was built to keep the Romans and the Scots
That's
out?
right. That's right.
Well, that's the view of where I lived, when you look by the Yorkshire Moors.
Yeah.
So that was, it's really beautiful there. By Halifax, you know, Alan, if you know Halifax.
I know Halifax well. My youngest son and his family, they live by the Humber Bridge, Yorkshire. So, but yeah, I know Halifax. It's a lovely part of the world.
Yorkshire born, Yorkshire bred, strong in the heart, but thick in the head.
Okay. Brilliant.
Well, that's cool. So you guys all emigrated to the United States. Is that how it happened first?
Yeah, we actually went into Canada. And I lived in Canada for a while in a rock and roll band. And then I was on the road when we were 13 playing music. And we rocked for a long time. And then I landed a gig in a very famous rock band called Sweeney Todd, which I replaced the singer who replaced the singer, and the singer was a guy named Nick Gilder, who did the, Hot Child in the City, that song. And then he was replaced by a guy named Bryan Adams. And then I replaced Bryan Adams. So.
That's really interesting. Now, you were about how old, like 18, 19 years old when you were touring, or no?
Correct. Yes, I was 18 when I was touring, and then one thing led to another, and then about 4 years after that, the band kind of went their separate ways. And then we decided to form our own bands, and then started not heavy metal, more like AC/DC type bands. And then we started touring America, and we played the Starwood, the Whiskey, the Rainbow, all that stuff. And we did all that, pay to play stuff. And Motley Crue actually backed us up, which was hysterical.
That's great.
But we were sharing the same kind of hairspray.
That wasn't one can, was it?
No, it was like an ample case full of about 24 cans.
Is that one way of sticking together, Chris?
Yeah, Aquanet. It was like super glue for the hair.
That's really cool. Now let me ask you. Now, I never really knew about this, but now when you were you touring with your twin brother? Because I don't know if a lot of people out there know, but Chris actually has a twin brother, and it's the craziest thing to look at them both together. Now, were you with your brother, or was it just you?
Both. It started out with he was in Sweeney Todd too, but we were never in it at the same time. And our older brother, Johnny B, is the drummer of all of the original band that's there. He's still drumming, actually. Still rocking and rolling. He's a great drummer. But we're never in the same band, all the three of us at the same time, which is weird. But anyway, Philip and I did form bands, and we did tour together at that point once we hit America.
Wow. And, many people probably don't also know this, but you were also writing songs yourself, weren't you?
Oh, well, we were always writing. We started writing when we were 13. I've got, thousands of songs we wrote. Very, pop. We were very into pop and hot. And we were more like AC/DC at that point. We eventually ended up being more like, like Duran Duran by the time we finished, including the David Bowie hair and the frilly shirts and Spandau Ballet type stuff. But, that was what was going on, so that's what we were doing.
Was there an influence from your parents or something, or was it just something that just happened to you and Phil?
The Beatles, I remember watching the Beatles when we were really young. I don't remember how old, maybe even 5.
Yeah.
But, I know when it would be, because 64, right, is the first year the Beatles was on the Ed Sullivan Show in America. Yeah. So that would have been the time, I think, that we had first seen the Beatles. And I know that Philip and I was like in front of the TV pretending to play guitars and sing. And then that was where I guess it started. Of course, our older brother got into music, and we followed him, because he's 10 years older. So we followed him into, his sort of Humble Pie and Eric the Cream and those bands that was back then. So we followed that, and then it was glitter rock at that point, which was Nick Gilder and, Todd Rundgren, David Bowie, Elton John, those kind of bands, Slade, those kind of bands. So we got our start there, and the music is still with us today. I mean, I still do music. I still do music for the films. So I never lost doing music. It just didn't pay. It didn't pay very well by the time that we had, gone through America, and then there was a lap, and we went into publishing music for films for Disney, and were signed to many different labels. Mm-hmm. And then that still didn't pay very well, so we ended up working in the art department and movies, like big movies. Yeah. We only got paid $50 a day, but we'd work on movies like Dreamscape and different TV shows, and we would just basically would do anything, manual labor, basically, anything the Mexicans wouldn't do, we would do. Because we're in California, so there were a lot of Mexicans there doing the work. So, that's where it all started, and we basically, moved on.
Now, you did establish even your own label, like T for Two Music Publishing, right?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, T for Two is our music publisher, and And we released a couple of records, our own records on it, which didn't do very well. That was actually when we first started in the 80s. But the T for Two Publishing ended up publishing all the music we've done. You know, we used to do also, I've done a lot of music for a lot of TV shows, as well as we had worked for Playboy for a long time. So I actually did, which is kind of weird, but I actually did the music for all the Playboy films we did.
Wait. Wasn't the Playboy music just like boom, chicka, bow, bow, bow?
That's what
that was going on.
Yeah, I know. It was, I know. You know, I mean, how do you score an anal scene? Come on. You know, it's so, you know, it was kind of embarrassing, but at the same time, for a musician, you were getting paid to do music. And that's good, you know. Any musician to get paid for doing music is great. So I never really wrote music. I never really wrote music for that. I just wrote music and then just put it in the films, you know. So it wasn't like, you know, disco porno and all that. It was like very spiritual. In fact, our music was very spiritual. We had Tibetan singing in it. That's the concept of Tibetan in a sex scene.
Talk about two conflicting views getting head on in something in a genre that just and I'm sure nobody that watched it even cared. They probably didn't even hear the music.
Well, yes and no, because obviously, you know, we always joke because we made maybe 86 films, and the thing is, we cared about what we do. You see, it really doesn't matter what you do, whether you're washing a car or you're washing dishes or you're working at McDonald's, whatever. It's important that what you do it with passion.
That's true.
Because then you get the most out of it. And no matter what anybody says, you're really putting heart and soul, and that really does score points, not only in the universe, but people, like for instance, if you're working at McDonald's, oh my God, that guy sure can pack some burgers. Look at him go. But then obviously that leads to a better position, right? Usually, right? So it's important you put passion in anything you do. And so we just put passion in what we did, and we started to grow. But we were rock stars, and we were young, you know, basically doing all that. And then spirituality, you know, your spirituality and your life started to grow. Of course, you know, you can only film so many boobs, and you get bored. But the point is we did all the stuff that you forward fast through. So we did the very high-end productions, the wardrobe. I mean, each film was $250,000.
Wow. You
know, now today they're $20 if you only own a high H. You know what I mean? So it's like back then there was more. You see, back then when Playboy started even before they got the satellite, the broadcast needed to have a reason to show nudity. If you didn't have a reason to show nudity, it was classified as pornography. So the reason to have nudity was to have a really good story and to have really good production. That's what we came in.
That's how they got round it.
Yeah, well, remember like Caligula? Remember?
Yeah.
That's what we made. We made films like Caligula, very big, high-production films that had incredible wardrobe. It had a lot of acting in it, as much as you could get them to act.
Right.
You know, it never had a pool man in it, I swear.
You didn't have a cable guy that was just coming to fix a loose cable?
Well, that might have been happening at home when we were working, but no, we did the very high-end productions, and what really ended up going out great is that every film that we made, they ended up pulling out the sex parts of it and turned them into erotic thrillers and sold them around the world.
Really?
And in turn, that created a really good music publishing because the royalties were great. Because then they were quarterly royalties for music and writing as erotic thrillers. So in turn, at the end of that, we didn't feel so silly at the end because that in turn, and it also created the satellite that they had because they didn't do high definition back then. They were doing film, which Phil learned how to edit actually on the flatbeds, 35 millimeter. That's how he was actually cutting with a razor blade and taping it together. Wow. So we learned our craft, and we actually brought the high definition 24p cameras into Playboy. And then the quality got better and better. And then at that point also, we got bored. We were using them basically as, hands-on experience.
Right.
Literally, right?
Yeah. We were, it was like boob camp. We went in there, but we learned how to film because we had to do 2 films in a month. Every 2 months, 2 films a month for 2 years.
Wow.
So we wrote them, we produced them, we put the music on them, we did the wardrobe, the production design, we edited them, we did everything. We didn't direct them. We directed a few. The ones we directed, we won awards for. Actually, we won best video, best film, best art direction, best music, and that's it. Those are the kind of awards we won for them in Vegas at the AVN Awards. So, I didn't really take it that serious in the sense of like, oh my God, this is your craft. I knew that it was just a nice, learning and getting paid for it. And then also when you're younger, having a lot of fun and time doing it.
Absolutely. You're getting paid, you're learning, and it was a stepping stone experience, right?
It was, but then we couldn't do it anymore. Our spirituality grew so much that we felt terrible doing it. We were making a lot of money, it seemed like, at that time. And when we got back, it was like, why do I feel terrible?
Why do I feel like taking a shower every 2 seconds and still feel dirty?
Well, no, I mean, a lot of the people were nice. I mean, there are such things as professional shoots, and there are ones that are slimy, It depends, like in any business, And there's a lot of the girls that did it were studying to be brain scientists. They really was from, Czechoslovakia. They would go over and do the movie, and then they would take their money and pay their medical degree. They knew what they were doing, and it wasn't like it was just, some kind of a, whatever that a lot of people think they are. So
yeah.
It was actually a very professional business. The reason we did get out of it was when it started becoming unprofessional, and it became, people with camcorders just putting it on their lap and filming, anybody that walks in their office, and that to me was degrading. And that is what I call porno. See, America calls it porno. The rest of the world calls it art. I mean, this, mate, that they have, is it the page 5 girl or whatever, the page 6 girl, and she's topless, on the newspaper. Nobody freaks out about nudity in England. It's only America that freaks out about it.
I mean, the paper I think you're on about is the Sun, and
that's right.
And they do page 3 every single day. Just so everybody knows, I don't buy it, but it's there, and and most people just accept it. It's just there, and that's it.
Well, sexuality in England is different. I mean, I'm sure you grew up with Carry On and Benny Hill and Monty Python and other very sexually stuffed films. So it wasn't like Europe is very sexually free and very open. And it's taken as just part of life. I mean, you could sit in a pub and joke with a very older woman, even in their 80s, and they would be laughing sexually about things because they have no hang-ups.
Well, I can remember in the late 60s when I was about 19 going into a pub down on the south coast, and they had a stripper come into the bar, and she was performing in the bar while having a drink. So I understand exactly what you're saying, Chris. Yeah,
it was no big deal. It's like a lot of people make a big deal out of it. I do understand there is a line that you do draw, when we get into that situation. We never crossed that line because when we were on the set, I remember like throwing pillows at them, saying it was like watching my chihuahua hump something, and I was embarrassed, because they were walking around naked, and you would say, "Go put on a robe, be professional, don't be, you can pull it off when we work, but when we're not working, you should be fully clothed." This is not a sleazy concept. But anyway, we got tired of doing that. I think our souls started to feel weird about it, and we got really miserable and just couldn't do it anymore. So we saved our money up, and we made our first film, which is Dark Place. And that stars Matthew McGrory from Tiny from The Devil's Rejects and 1,000 Corpses, and the giant in Big Fish. We made him the star in it, and we went out and filmed that, and it did really well for us in European. It didn't do too good in America, mostly because it wasn't a slash movie. It was a psychological movie. It was like really dark, like David Lynch meets, it's really, it's done really well. It's filmed incredibly, the lighting and everything's really cool, and it's done exactly the way you'd want to do a film. But it wasn't like slash gore, torture, which is the movie Saw at the time was coming in. So they wanted a Saw, but we wouldn't do. I refused to do serial killer slasher movies. I think if you're going to do that, just watch. Turn on the news or go to AOL and you'll see that. You don't need to film. It's everywhere.
Now, was it this film that started to sort of break you into the genre of horror films? Like, how did it come about for you, your inspiration to say, you know what? We can really get people spooked psychologically, not slash, not blood, not gore. Because when you think about those slash and gore movies, that's more of like a shock effect. But you know what? America's been shocked to death. Blood and gore doesn't even work anymore.
They're desensitized. There was pictures on that woman that murdered her photographer boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just graphic, and you open it up, and it shows his throat split out, and then everybody's looking at it going like, oh, man, that's fake, man. I saw a better scene in Saw. It's real. It's like they're desensitized. And the thing is which is dangerous to be so desensitized, because then that's when the feeling, because you understand, people that are serial murderers, the way they can actually do something so brutal is because they have zero sensitivity.
Correct.
And so if you get desensitized, you're able to do something without morals. And if you lose your morals, then you got nothing. That's that fine line for taking you over. And the thing is,
I'd say, Chris, we've had that actually happen in the last couple of days over here in London, where two guys actually hacked to death a soldier in Woolwich, and in the front, in front of everybody, and actually talked to a guy who got his phone filming it, and was talking to him. It was just surreal. So I understand what you're saying. That was two guys. Everybody thinks
that was it Drummer? His name's Drummer. He's a British soldier. Rest in peace.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is that's what I think is really dangerous. We all have a responsibility to put out the best we can, and I know that there's times that we, get shy of it and maybe get drunk and make a fool of ourselves. But in general, your concept of responsibility, especially in film and even songwriting, is putting out something positive to inspire somebody. And it could be headbanging music, and that can be inspiring. It depends. It's just, the direction of it. I just know that we couldn't do what we did because it was time to move on, and that's what life is about, is 2 steps to heaven each time.
Your shows, essentially, with your documentaries and your movies, are really based on, let's stay away from the blood and gore. Let's use the human mind, which is the most best, computer that you can have. You don't have to get into all this morality and stuff like this, and have great movies and have great documentaries, right? Good product.
Disturbing is great because you can play with the psyche. That's like the old Hammer films, which were the great, the old Christopher Lee films and Vincent Price, Dr. Fives. Those are great films, and all these Hammer films, Ken Russell films. Some of them are a little crazy, like Lords of Salem is kind of like a Ken Russell remake, But let's put like about 10 old women naked in the film just for the hell of it. That's Ken Russell. It's like, they're just doing that for no reason except for, shock value. But there's a way to do something like and disturb people. There's nothing scarier than the truth, but all films are emotional, and we need that emotional roller coaster, and everything we do has to end positive. It has to. Satan doesn't win in our productions in any way.
Mm-hmm.
We won't let that happen.
Can I ask you a question? And this is something that I really get from you. What's your view on angels and demons? Because you've done a lot of documentaries. You've been in some real places that I personally would not go into, and I work in this field. I'm in the paranormal field. I will not go into the places that you go into. What's your views on these angels and demons, everything? Talk to us about that.
Well, the angels and demons, it's pretty simple. Is like, first of all, if you believe in God, okay, you've got to believe in the devil. You can't just believe in one side at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you realize that, then, well, do you believe in God? And you go, well, yes, I do. Then you've got to believe in the devil. So now the devil is real. If you didn't believe in God, you don't have to believe in the devil. Because it's a two-sided thing. So basically, when we went into the one that comes to mind, the most disturbing one being the Haunted Boy, Secret Diary of the Exorcist that we did, and we were the only film people that went into the real bedroom that it really happened and filmed inside and did a paranormal investigation and showed everybody what the real house, looked like when that bed went across the floor and all that crazy stuff. And we did that, and we got a copy of the real diary. And that was disturbing because you knew this really was real. And basically most of what happened to Linda Blair and The Exorcist happened to a little boy. That's the truth. It's a boy, not a girl. So a lot of it did happen. And, then, of course, that question, did you bring something home with you? And we're talking about demons, not anything else.
We're not talking about just spirits roaming around, just hanging around playing jokes. We're talking about some real nasty stuff. So
we're talking about energy.
What do you do to protect yourself? I mean, do you protect yourself, or you just say, hey, it's just not going to follow me?
No, you can't be that arrogant.
Listen, I just have to ask those questions. There's some people that just say, hey, nothing's going to follow me, so nothing's going to follow me, and that's just the way they believe.
No, well, first of all, I believe in a lot of spirituality, God, Jesus, Buddha, all that stuff. I believe in it all, and I believe it's all the same. Native American grandfather, Mother Nature, whatever, all that sort of stuff. It's all the same God, really. You just put a different name to it. But the thing is I think it's judging you if you're premeditated and you go in there exploitive and you go in there to screw around with the situation. We go in there with good nature and the concept of helping someone tell the story, even if it's the devil's story. And the devil, being a narcissist, wants his story being told. So he's not really going to screw with the interviewers, really, unless you're screwing with him and you're basically doing the exploiting, provoking, like come and get me, demon, you're a piece of whatever, which is silly to do because you never really know who you're talking to anyway.
Hey, Chris, what got you into this side of it, your psychic, your spiritual side, to decide that you was going to do this kind of films?
Well, I think that, first of all was Spooked, the first one we did, which was basically a documentary of filming Death Tunnel, which is a horror movie, and so many pictures we did at Waverly Hills Sanatorium, and then that's where Philip and I both experienced our first serious apparitions and EVPs and photos and the whole thing, and that left me hungry for more knowledge on it. It's an awful adrenaline rush, to go into these places, but as sensitives and psychics and mediums, that's where it becomes more dangerous as an investigator, because it can control your whole feeling. I believe that I'm an HSP, okay? And being an HSP puts me in a terrible position. Just going into Walmart, I freak out.
I understand.
Highly sensitive person?
Correct.
I understand that one totally.
Where you can't even listen to, the car ads on the radio without literally having anxiety, because people are trying to sell, people are trying to move, people are trying to do this, people are trying to rush, people are trying to line up. It's like the Dalai Lama show we just went to. I've never met a more down-to-earth person than him. You know, he never takes it seriously. And, you know, the thing is that you talk about not having any attachments to materialistic objects, but at the same time, at the end of the show, they all run out to buy the T-shirts and the beads and the stuff, and they're knocking each other over trying to get the beads and the stuff. So it's like it went through one ear out the other, you know.
Yeah.
But I think what got me into is that if you're going to touch such a serious realm of the afterlife, especially when it's concerning children and all that, that you really need to be compassionate.
Yeah, that Children of the Grave I got to see, which was really impressive because I want to tell you, Chris, when it first starts off, it's such a great documentary and just giving so much information that you don't even anticipate of seeing anything. I mean, obviously, you know that stuff is going to happen, but you're so intrigued about the information of what you didn't know. So let me ask you, when you did that, did the thought just intrigue you just about all these children being, you know, misplaced and mistreated, or it was just another story and then it evolved?
I don't think we could handle it going down without justice. Finding being told about 699 children buried in a mass grave, which not all of them were even there, and being poisoned, half of them being poisoned accidentally.
Formaldehyde, right? With formaldehyde?
Yeah, to preserve the milk. They didn't mean to kill them. They were just trying to preserve the milk longer. You know, like cutting a buck. It's probably like GMO, which is what's going on with GMO today, you know. And basically, I just had my first son, too. I only have one boy, and that's Gabriel.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Well, I mean, he's 5 years old, but he's 5 now. But when I had Children of the Grave, I just had him, so I was really in tune with the sensitivity of children. I mean, you know, you don't really get that in tune until you have your own baby, you know.
That's right.
You know, and it's like, you know, the babies cry, and you do everything to stop them from crying, you know, walk them around, take them in the car, you know, do whatever you can, giggle and laugh, or do whatever you got to do. Well, when you're dealing with a ghost child, you can't do that. You can't hold them, and you can try to talk to them, but it's really scary, and you can't help them stop crying, and that breaks your heart.
Yes, yeah, I understand that one. Yeah.
I love the EVP. Just so the listeners out there can listening all around the world, EVP, electronic voice phenomena, and what really struck me in particular with the Children of the Grave is that, you know, Chris and his brother are filming these two people speak at the cemetery, and while they're speaking, if I'm correct, the audio device just goes nuts, and you hear like 1,000 people screaming at once. Yeah,
it was like a big cry of help.
Just a big cry of help out of nowhere, and this is like in the middle of the cemetery. There's nobody was screaming. It just happened. Everybody heard it, and it was just like, it was almost like a wow, like holy crap, did that just happen?
It did, and then you know, just getting really into starting studying, you know, just all kinds of phenomena, whether it's light abnormality or the concept of the more realistic orbs. I do believe in orbs. I don't believe in all of them, but I have seen. Well, you know, orbs are like boobs. None of them are real. Now, that was our Playboy joke. But now,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, the thing is, no, you know, because they're all like light things that are dancing, and there's no way it's a piece of dust or a bug. There's just no way.
It's emitting its own light. It's an impossibility. Dust can't emit its own light.
No, you know, it's like a flashlight, and there's no flashlight being used, but it's going around and it's checking it out. And I do understand dust, and I do understand bugs, and I've seen all that too, but there are light abnormalities, and I've seen some crazy stuff. And, you know, Zombie Road on Grave was probably the most overwhelming. I mean, we didn't go out to get it, you know what I mean? We did go out to get it, but we didn't expect we would get it.
You got more than what you bargained for, right?
Well, we went out to find the truth behind the photograph that was sent to us, okay? And it was like either, you know, the greatest Photoshop picture, or it was
or it's real.
You know, we did check into it. We couldn't find it anyway that it was photoshopped in any way. In order to have done that photo, you'd have to have all these children put up on the hill as black shadows standing in between trees, and there's just no way that you could have done it with the area that they did it and the time of night. You know, it just didn't make sense. So we went down there, and they said, well, the place we're going to go is called Zombie Road. And I went, you're kidding me. It's called Zombie Road. And I'm going, wow, this is great. We got to do this. Of course, we went down there, and the cops wouldn't go with us. They said, if you go down there, so that's you on your own. So we brought a couple of Marines, Navy SEAL guys that were in the team, and they had the bulletproof vests going on the front because we were worried about shooters because there were a lot of Hills Have Eyes type people in that area.
Oh, yeah, and there was also a lot of reports of satanic rituals being done in that area also, if I'm correct.
Yeah, there was actually documented case of a baby being cut out of a girl and many murders in that forest.
Oh, dear.
Like, by the way, happens everywhere. You just don't know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true. There was so much stuff going on. It's like somebody said to me, like, I can't stand the way the world's going. And my friend said to me, goes, it's always been that way. They just covering it more now in the media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the only difference.
You know, they didn't have TMZ back then. Now it's like everything you do, you blow your nose and it's TMZ.
TMZ's reporting on it, right?
You know, they got a camera up your nose. And the thing is, but Zombie Road was really intense. And what I really noticed is that I have my own scenario on that, is that I realized that these shadows might not be ghosts, entities. They could be very much an alien entity.
All right, now we're getting aliens in here. We may have to bring Joe in here. He's the alien specialist. But so what are they thinking about? Like, so do we have other pictures of beings like that in that same area?
Well, the concept the concept is very simple. It's like, first of all, the easiest thing is a concept. A shadow is the easiest thing to hide in because it will mimic you. And the concept is that the shadows have not learned to hurt you yet. Right. Meaning the concept is they can easily watch and study you being your shadow or being dark. And the other concept is they all have sort of big heads and deformed heads, and they're all smaller than, they call them imps. I mean, I think every social captures a 3-foot child and they immediately say, it's a child. Well, what's that bloody big head? That's not a child, that's weird. So my concept is that, and also the EVPs were very strange. The audio was like, you know, an echo of a reverb after the dialogue, but no, it was before the dialogue. So there was sounds that would go like, ja-da-da-da, and then you would hear somebody say, well, why don't we go? And it was done rhythmically and in the form that it was power of suggestion by some kind of tone that was telling you where to look or what to do. And it was just really weird. You'd hear, what-da-da-da-da, and then you'd hear somebody say, maybe we should go right now, in the same type, you know, rhythmic and the same type key of words. And it was just really bizarre to hear all this. It wasn't echo or feedback, it was pre-reverb.
So would you say that he was trying to be controlled?
Yeah, power of suggestion, like, you need to leave now. And you would say, you know, we should go.
You know, I wish you were on here. I'm going to show the viewers, if you go on to Pal Talk, I will show a picture, Chris, of what you're talking about, the imps.
Yeah.
Of like, my phone went on and just took a random picture without me knowing it. Mm-hmm. And I got a picture of one of these things looking into a window that I do not have. So I'm going to put this out for the viewers to see.
Oh, please send that to me through Facebook on my message.
Oh, I'm going to send it to you. It is so sick because you could see clearly there's something looking in. But the funny thing is that when I match this up with my house, I don't have a window there.
Well, there is paradigm worlds. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And we're very arrogant to think that we're the only species here. It's very quite obvious. We're just so arrogant that we can't get over ourselves. Or we're so brainwashed that, you know, Bradlina's getting another baby or something. You know? And it's more important that Jennifer Aniston is playing a stripper in a movie than it is finding out that we've got, you know, contact. You know, it's all about being brainwashed by bullshit so that we don't focus on what's real, because the minute we become more intelligent and real, we become dangerous.
So would you say that you believe in aliens?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, going on to that subject, do you believe that there's a connection between psychic phenomena or supernatural phenomena and alien phenomena?
Yes, I do. I believe half the shadow people are aliens.
Okay. Okay. Now, that's really cool. Now, why?
Because, well, first of all, what gives you proof it's a ghost? Why? Why are we calling it a ghost? Why not call it, you know, an extraterrestrial? Why are we calling it a ghost? Because that's all we're really focusing on, or we're doing. You go into an abandoned building, and I always get kicked out of the like, what happened here to make it haunted? Well, actually, nothing happened. Nobody died. Well, then why do you think it's haunted? That's just a creepy old building. Well, there was also really another fascinating. I have ADHD, so I'm going to jump ahead like usual. But it's fabulous.
We'll bring you back. Don't worry.
I'll count on you guys to do that. Barry Taft, the great, incredible parapsychologist of the 70s, Barry Taft, we interviewed him when we were doing a show about The Real Entity, that movie that came out in '84 about a woman that got raped by a ghost.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
It's a scary movie where it's based on mostly true. We have the real evidence. He gave us the real evidence. And we were filming in the real house it happened in. But it was like he believes, his view is that places are not haunted. He believes people are haunted, and they walk into a place and are able to bring out their own worst fears in these places. A wake-up call, so to speak.
Okay, so pretty much all the activity that's happened is pretty much self-inflicted.
Not all of it. I don't believe all of it is. I believe that some of it is, because you always hear those people, like, I get letters saying, I got this person has got this, you know, my house has got this thing, but it followed me. I've lived, you know, in 3 apartments. How can 3 places be haunted? Well, it's really you that's bringing it out.
Well, the thing is, Chris, when I've gone to do clearings in people's homes, you can have a situation where, shall we say, the wife sees everything and the husband doesn't see anything, and the one thinks that the other one's going crazy. So, yeah, I can understand what you're saying. It can be with the person rather than the building. Yeah, I understand that.
It's pretty much if you would yell at your partner and say, it's you that brought this madness here. Yeah, it is.
Okay,
because energy, when you go into a room, or you go in anywhere, there's no such thing as good or bad energy. It's what you make it. There's only energy. No one's ever made bad energy or good energy. It's what you've made the energy, or what has happened in the energy, like maybe a murder or a rape or something tragic like that has turned the energy into a negative energy instead of a positive energy. You go into a room where everything was beautiful, like you walk into the Dalai Lama, and there's 16,000 people, you're going to get so higher than any hydroponic pot or dipped with ecstasy and opium or whatever. You're going to get so high from the energy. But at the same time, if you go into a crime scene where all these people were wiped out, you're going to feel real negative. And that's the same concept, residual haunting. They stain the walls, they stain the aura, they stain the paradigm air. And then so that place, like a restaurant where people get murdered at, that restaurant will never, ever be able to stay open again. Many people try to re-rent it and change the name, and they end up going bankrupt and close it down years later.
Chris, let me ask you this, Chris. See what you think about this. This is a theory. And Alan, I'd like you to speak about this too. Chris, don't you think that sometimes when you go into these areas that supposedly have activity, that when you bring somebody such as yourself, which is a sensitive, or you bring a person like myself or Alan, which are psychic mediums, that we're almost like batteries that jumpstart the whole scene all over again by giving it energy?
Yeah, you guys are the fluffers, no doubt.
Oh, God. I'm a psychic fluffer. Where has my life gone?
No, you are, and what you do is they know that, but then what they do is they also know if you've done something bad, if you've done something terrible, because then the negative energy will get you. And then the positive energy, no, they're almost like mind readers. They're like, and don't ask me how I know this, because I don't. but I just know this.
But they can also watch as well.
Because it makes sense, and that's what the point is. First of all, scientific has to rule anything out that it's not normal before it can be called paranormal. Well, what that means is it has to make sense, and what makes sense is, why do you have an intuition? Mm-hmm. Your intuition helps tell you that there's something wrong here, something's going down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
And that's why we need to trust our intuition. And when you go into a room and you have a camera and you have an audio recorder, you feel something creepy, you take a picture. You record it on the audio, you get back and you say, do I have a ghost? Well, I've got a picture, what it looks like of a shadow or possibly some kind of an apparition, which is very difficult to get. The apparitions are difficult. And then you've got some kind of an EVP, whether it's a scream or a voice. But the most of all that proves that you did get a ghost is the fact that you felt there was a ghost there when you took that picture and you did the audio.
That's probably the difference with myself when I go to do a clearing. I don't take any equipment with me at all, and it's all done from sense and feeling, and then moving, getting rid of any negativity that's there. So I never go and actually record anything, but I do find that fascinating that you actually go and record what you feel and then see.
Well, that's just because for the skeptics need proof, and that's also when you're working for television, you need to have documentation. Personally, I don't need any proof that Jesus existed or there is some kind of an energetic we're calling God. You're never going to see God. You're never going to see Jesus, but people believe in him.
Yeah, yeah. That is one of the strange things, isn't it? People believe in God, believe in Jesus, yet when people start talking about spirit, then people then sometimes say, well, I don't know whether that's real or not. And it seems a little bit of a strange thing there.
Especially when Jesus is the original Holy Ghost.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's going to be a whole different genre that we can talk about after break, because we're going to be coming up on the break in about 2 minutes. I have to stop here just for a second just to pay the bills, to say you guys are listening to 107.7 FM New Orleans. You're listening to Knowledge of Spirit Radio, and you can visit us on our websites. For Alan Cox, is calmingthoughts.com. You could visit me on my website, mediumjessebravo.com. You could visit Chris on his. He's got like 1 million, Spooked TV. All you got to do is put Chris's name in there, and it almost seems like, Chris, you got like 1,000 pages on you on Google. How do you get that?
I pay people. No,
this is the truth now.
no, we just done a lot of stuff. That's all.
Yeah, and it's really amazing that that you now let me ask you. I know that your brother doesn't do a lot of interviews. He's more of the quiet type. When you and your brother,
he's married, so
well,
he's not allowed to.
There's a lot of married people that come on here, but what I wanted to ask is that being twins, right? You guys know each other inside and out. Now, do both of your sensitivities work together as you're working on your documentaries and in your films?
Definitely, and music too, and actually just in feelings in general. We don't live together, and we live actually in different states now, because he went ahead, he got married, and he obviously wanted to live with his beautiful wife, so he went ahead and do that, what we do, the next step in life, But me, I'm the evil twin. I'm the dog one, and I got divorced 3 times. And, I have my little boy, which unfortunately doesn't live with me, but I see him when I can. I kind of, I'm on the road a lot. So, but we still feel the same, and we still put together, that's why we're doing a brand new movie right now. And basically it's all based on the fact that our talent is really good. We get deals because of our talent, not because we work cheap, but because of our talent is really strong, and our passion to do it is overwhelming,
Which now we have a couple minutes left. We still have 4. What's your new? What are you working on? What's your newest project?
We're working on a motion picture for sci-fi right now. It was supposed to be released this year. Unfortunately, we got behind schedule because of the production design we're doing is pretty intense, and we really felt we couldn't develop what we're trying to do. It's a 19th century story of stuff that really happened. It's really scary. And we're doing it for 2014 October Halloween movie for their world premiere. So we've been working on it for a year, as well as we've went to New Orleans and filmed Voodoo and Vampires. We lived in New Orleans for about 4 months. I was actually living in Algiers in a nice little cabin, coach house, an old stable they converted into a house. So we were filming there for three or 4 months on a show called Voodoo and Vampires. So.
I love it. I love it already. Oh my God. That's going to be interesting. When is that coming out?
No, I can't tell you because it's only. We stopped doing it because we were enticed into doing a movie, basically Death Tunnel 2. So we kind of stopped that. We were also doing a pilot for a reality show. Chiller had asked us to produce a reality show on Philip and my life. So we've been for the last year or two. So we got a lot of stuff that we haven't finished that we got to finish.
So finish those first, and then you'll start working on the other stuff, I guess.
No way. No, that's just how it works.
So it's just going to be an endless array of products, and they come out when they come out, I guess.
They'll all come out at the same time. You watch.
Then you won't have any time to sleep because you'll be too busy on the road every second to promote it. It's going to get crazy. But
I don't sleep now. We're actually on the road. We're doing a lot of shows this year alone too, as well. So we're doing all kinds of stuff.
Alan, don't you think it's crazy that him and his brother get the same feelings all the time? I think that's just an amazing thing, right?
It is. You're right. It is. And when you're in tune with somebody like that, it's like almost magical, isn't it? But
it is. It's great. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's like having your soulmate. I think, you know.
Yeah. And you hear of some brothers, not getting on, and I think that's awful. But you and Phil, you've got a really good relationship, haven't you?
Well, I think my father, rest in peace, before he died, he'd asked me to take, even though Philip's older than me.
By what, a couple of minutes?
No, 1 hour, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Mom never let us forget that. You bastards, you made me be in pain for an hour. Slap, see how it feels.
When you had a good look round and said it's okay, it's okay to come out.
I mean, Mom, I know, but it's kind of good because when Phil dies, I have 1 hour to have a good time.
Oh my God, I can't even believe that the conversation's got here. Listen, we have 1 minute left, so Chris, hold on 1 second. We just got to go through a couple of things over here. Guys, once again, we're reminding you we're about to go to break. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, you can call in on our line on 540-273-7379, and we'll take some live callers with some questions. Also from the chat room, you can go to Pal Talk on the chat room. You can come over here, start asking questions. We make this totally interactive as best as possible so that you can get the most out of here. Once again, you can go to knowledgeofspirit.com. You can go there to look at all of our profile of our guests, our press releases, everything that you can possibly imagine with contacts. Like I said, starting in July, we will have a free magazine. That's right, free! Did you hear that? Free! Free magazine. Just get up on the list. We'll start sending it out to you. We're going to have the best of content out there from the best of minds, putting stuff that's not stale anymore, fresh new spins on things.
When you say three, you don't mean three, the number three, you mean nothing.
I mean, like, if it's free, it's for me. That's my motto. And so you guys should be out there signing up to getting on the list, getting out there, also signing up so that you can have a free reading between me and Alan, which is really awesome. And with that, we got to go pay the bills. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Once again, we have co-host, celebrity psychic Jesse Bravo, and Alan Cox. And obviously, I always say he's the best co-host in the entire world because he's UK's top psychic radio presenter. So how could you not be?
And I always say that you're the best co-host in the world, yes, sir.
We're the best, aren't we? And what makes us not even good is the great people that we get onto this radio show. So if you're listening to this right now in the UK, I want to say keep drinking more tea. You'll stay up a little bit longer. Here in the U.S., have another cup of coffee. And wherever you are around the world, because right now we are in 151 different countries listening to this. So we're in India, we're in Asia, because spirituality means something. And we have a great guest on to the show today because his spirituality took him from saying, you know what, I don't want to do any more porn movies, and brought his spirituality from music to now creating quality, really just quality products. And that's been, I think, Chris, what you've been hanging your nail for your entire career is to say, you know what, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I just have to, we just have to do the best that we possibly can and give it our all to whatever product that we're doing at the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. It's really important. You know, you'll remember someone that's really passionate, even at Burger King. I mean, it sounds silly, but it's true. Yeah. It's about the care that you put out, and you will get it back because it will be noticed.
Chris, I wanted to ask you, when you went and you did your documentary over into the same place that they had The Exorcist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had saw on one of your documentaries you had this guy Zeiss as a demonologist. Did you bring a demonologist with you to do that particular investigation?
The demonologist that was in that show, which was a beautiful thing, his name's William Bradshaw. He actually he's just around his 80s, and the great thing about him is he studied demonology, and he was the demonologist for the Vatican. So what was really cool about him is that he really was the man when it came to talk about, you know, who the devil is and the history of the devil. And what was really beautiful is he really truly, he's the kind of chap that when he talks, you listen and you just love what you're getting out of it, because it's like, it's not boring, it's very fascinating. You know, the whole history. He actually helped decipher the Devil's Bible. And so that kind of stuff, the power behind him, and also involving him with the Exorcist, the infamous Exorcist case, which he had read the real diaries and in the Vatican's vault, and asking him, is this real? What do you think? You know, with the scratches across his chest, you know, were they self-inflicted or did he really do them? All kinds of questions you would really want to know, and he's, you know, would answer them. And of course, the questions that he'd answer, no comment, was really great. Why no comment? But we had a respect value that if he said no comment, we would not go any farther out of respect for him, because we're not there to exploit people and, you know, throw apples at them in the middle of a square like reality shows do. Mm-hmm. We're there to, you know, hopefully get everybody to learn. He was a beautiful man. He's an author, and you can go ahead and do a search on him. But he's got some great books about the demonology. John Zaffis we've used quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. I saw him on the show, and he has like the biggest collection of haunted items in the United States, right?
Apparently, yes. We used him in the movie Possessed and Children of the Grave. So he's a very nice gentleman and has a very, very good seasoned history of what, you know, where he basically, his uncle is the Warrens. So there you go.
See, that I didn't know. Now, when you worked with Mr. Bradshaw, the demonologist, mm-hmm. did he have you perform any ceremonies to protect you guys?
No. We had brought in a Catholic even though it was a Christian church, we brought in a Catholic priest to do the incense and to do the blessing before and after. We also, you can just have a bath with candles and meditate, and it's a form of cleansing the dirt, whether it's the dirt on your body or the dirt in your soul. It's the same concept of cleaning. That's where cleaning all came from. It's bathing. That's where baptism's all about too. Same thing. It's all about, cleansing yourself and also going there with a spiritual shield, which is, your light, the aura of light behind you that protects you. If you've ever gotten involved in Saint Germain, I don't know if you know what Saint Germain is, the affirmations of I'm a being of violet fire, I'm purity, God's desire. That is more powerful than saying Om Mani Padme Hum 108 times, especially when you're trying to keep count. But the thing is, that's all clearing your soul, and then once your soul is clear, it's no different than going into a dark, possessed entity situation. It's because once your soul is clear in any way, you are open for darkness. You're a magnet for negativity. Once the aura of energy, possibly feels that, so you walk into a very negative zone, that something tragic happened, you're very open to get it as an attachment.
When you are doing the films, Chris, and the film is in a dark place, does that affect you while you're doing it? Do you feel as it takes you into a dark place, or are you able to stand away from it and just deal with it as it is?
No, it affects us quite a bit. For me, I throw up on a lot of our locations. Like take the house in our film, The Possessed, the original, it's the Seeker House in Illinois, 1877, possession or reincarnation, as the 13th Dalai Lama put it. I think it was the 13th, or it might have been the 12th Dalai Lama, back in 1877. It might have been the 13th Dalai Lama, maybe. But he actually said it was the first pure case of reincarnation, where the spiritualists, which is very big back then, classified it as a possession. Basically, an 18-year-old girl gets possessed by, a 13-year-old girl gets possessed by an 18-year-old girl who died 12 years earlier, and she becomes her so much, she moves in the family of the dead girls as that dead daughter. So she everything about her, everything, and she didn't know her. And so it was a really incredible story. She became her for 3 months, and then after 3 months, she went back to who she was. And that house made me throw up really bad. There's a lot of seances done in there with the house doing seances and spiritualism. You don't know what you're bringing in and what's left in there. And a
lot of people just don't realize, do they, that they're opening themselves up to whatever. It's like people who play around with a Ouija board. They have no idea who they're bringing in, do they?
I just so that you guys know, I do a seance once a week here in New York City. Okay? Now, I've never had one instance where something crazy happened. And the reason why is, as you said before, Chris, is the intention behind it. And what I think a lot of times we see in a lot of the reality TV media is that, they're looking to capture something to make it exciting for the viewers. So as a result, they're sort of throwing caution to the wind so they can actually have something bad happen. Would you not agree?
Yes. The old saying is you brought this on yourself. You brought it yourself. Yeah, definitely. But sometimes you can do that without being premeditated. We're all young and silly, and the concept is this is my view. When you're born, your soul is like a window, a clear window, or say a clear mirror. As you start to learn and you start to eat foods that's not good for you, and drink and drugs, cigarettes, different whatever concepts of being taught, racism and being bullied and shadows of being demeaned and all that, your soul starts to, fog up. The mirror starts to fog up to the point that you can't see clear anymore. That's why babies can see things so clear and they're so honest. They say you're so fat, or you're so ugly, or you're so old, you're going to die right now. And they don't see it as an insult. They just are honest. It all comes out. You see things very clear. So children are very apt to see, imaginary friends sense it. Like my son would stare at the cabinet. I didn't know why he stared at it all the time. He'd just sit in the kitchen, turn his head, and stare at this kitchen cabinet. And I'm going, why is he staring at it all the time? And I opened it up and I realized I forgot I put my mom and dad's ashes in a urn in that cupboard. And he just stared at it all the time. I didn't know why. And then I figured, well, they're very sensitive because they can see the clear picture. They're very conscious. And so as your mirror fogs up, you become very unconscious till you can't see it all.
That's what you just said. It actually also applies to like dogs and cats and that
yeah. The fact they say that they don't have souls, which is not necessarily true.
Well, that's what you get these stories and you see these films about dogs doing things that are almost human-like, and I suppose there's more attuned and intelligent dogs, just like there's more intelligent people than other people. And that's true.
Well, dogs don't murder.
That's true. Yeah.
Dogs especially don't murder without a reason.
So
murder with a reason.
Chris, could I ask you, as far as you and your brother's experience with the paranormal and being some very, very dark places, have you yourselves ever been attacked or had some major experience that goes along with it?
Well, that's open for determination. It's really open for
your opinion, just your opinion, your perception.
There's only one time that I felt that there was something possibly attacked because I couldn't explain it. And we were doing the Haunted Boy, we released theatrically, and it was actually playing in St. Louis where The Exorcist actually happened. St. Louis is home to the real Exorcist story, most of it anyway, most of all the possession and all the exorcism happened in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. And also in Normandy, in Belnor, Normandy, which is in Missouri, just outside of St. Louis. We were doing a theatrical there at a theater, and it was sold out 2 nights. We sold it out. So I was staying downtown in a hotel in the old district, and I think it was either 4 or 8 or 7 or 8, one of those. And I was just nodding off, and I started to see what seemed to be like my blankets were being pulled down. And they weren't like satin sheets, so they weren't like sliding up for no reason. But they were like looked like they were being pulled down. And it started what I said before, that intuition thing kicked in. That big intuition thing kicked in. And I turned my head to the left, and I saw this shadow kind of on the wall, but kind of like looking over me. And it had like a head, like a dogfish kind of look, where, like, say like Hellboy, where his horns are sawed off kind of look. Mm-hmm. It had like that shadow. And I felt really that feeling of tragic, that feeling of fear. And it all hit me, and as the sheets went down, and suddenly I suddenly fell out of bed, which is what I thought. And then I looked at my foot, and it had like 4 scratches on my foot, like something grabbed me out of bed. So I ran and got the camera, and I sat in bed, all night with night vision, waiting for it, to come back. Of course, it never did, And then when I left in the morning, I said, "Did you know that your room is it?" She goes, "Haunted?" And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah, I know. Your room is haunted." Now, I wish you would have told me that. So I stepped in, She goes, "Yeah, it's haunted." He said, Al Capone during the word now is lost. The alcohol prohibition. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Alcohol thing. They had murdered 7 people on that floor.
Wow.
Now, the scratches that you had on your feet, were they cat-like and thin, like razor blades, or were they thick?
They were like claws. They were like three very straight ones, and then a 4th one, maybe like a pinky feel. But it looked like something had grabbed my foot and held it, and then pulled me out by it. And I got pictures of it. Well, I took pictures of it, so I have the pictures of the scratches.
Wow.
And of course, when I put them on Facebook, it took literally less than 5 minutes, and it was all over all the Independent Examiner news saying Christopher St. Booth is possessed by devil. And, so I had to remove that because they grew that. It's like, come on, guys, oh my God. And then I got 100 people telling me that I need to put tea bags on my balls and do whatever, to clean me and stuff. And with due respect, I understand there is a evidence of it, but there are people that go a little too far,
It has to be English tea bags, won't it, Chris?
Tetley.
Only if it was Earl Grey.
no, Tetley tea. Tetley
tea, you're right, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Now.
Oh, by the way, I have those tea bags for sale after the show on
Slightly used?
Yeah, slightly.
Slightly used.
If you got the balls, you can bid.
Now, did your brother have any experiences also?
I don't know. He's had, ghost experiences and different experiences like that. And I think that we saw a lot of shadows in the house when we were editing in our house. We had a studio in the house in California, in Los Angeles. So it was getting pretty dark in the whole. I sent my son away with my wife to Indiana to visit their mother when we edited because I didn't want Gabriel around it, because we'd gotten the whole audio tape from Annalise Michelle, which is the real Emily Rose, when she was possessed. So we had the real audio tape of her, doing her ritual of screaming to. She actually mentions the names of the demons, which is not a good thing because a good friend of ours, Bishop James Long, if you know who he is, who's in the possessed, he told us quite a few things that I found really fascinating. One, he says the devil doesn't know how to spell. That's why he hides a lot in children, which I thought was, whether that's true or not, it's fascinating.
Okay.
And then the other thing he mentioned is, do whatever you do not play that. I said, do you think it's okay to put the real audio of Annalise Michelle, which is Emily Rose, in the show, which is in The Possessed, and also in The Exorcist story or film, which is, by the way, going to be called The Exorcist File, and it's coming to Redbox in Halloween, by the way. It's in Redbox for Halloween, but they've changed the title. But anyway, is to listen to this scream that sounds like 7 dogs, and what she used to do, she used to drink her own pee and eat her own feces and stuff, and she was a devout Catholic. She would whip herself, like the Da Vinci Code thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
At the beginning, he was whipping himself. Pendant, or I forgot what the word they called it. But she was much like that and took other people's sins onto her, that she became a walking time bomb, basically. So we used that dialogue, used the audio in our show to show you what it was really like. And since there's no audio captured in the real Exorcist story, we used those real horror screams in the Exorcist story too. But he says, whatever you do, please, you can use the screams, but please don't use the part where she announces the demon's name by name.
Because that's summoning them.
Yeah. Correct, yeah, because they said it's like if I said, I would call you a name, you would look at me.
Yes.
Same thing. If you're going to say that name, there's a good chance of getting its attention. We don't want to.
And you don't want that.
No, you don't want to give them any attention. They're narcissists as they are. That's why these people that go around exploiting and provoking demons is basically the dark demons or the dark entities or demonic activity, as they all keep saying, is a narcissist force, so they don't need to be provoked. They're going to dance for you because they're arrogant.
Yeah.
And they want to be seen.
But the people, so the chances are the ghosts, the energies that you're provoking are children. So that's why you shouldn't provoke and exploit.
So what do you think about these ghost groups that just sort of go out there and start to really try to cause a ruckus and calling calling them out.
Oh, I know exactly what I think about them. There are like Nine Inch Nails, then there's like Donny Osmond, and then there's like a lot of bands that are terrible, that can't ever make it. That's exactly what the paranormal industry is like. A lot of bands that can't make it, meaning that they're just pretending. They have no knowledge of what they're doing. There's a lot that are good, don't get me wrong. There are more real, people that are not seen on television that are far better than the ones that are on television because they have compassion, they care, they do their research. They aren't every, of course, a television show. If you don't got me a ghost in 20 minutes, get me one. Find me one. There's that ghost right before commercial break. That Geritol commercial ends, and then there's the ghost. Wow, how cool. You planned that. That really worked out well. It's a lot of these groups are just doing it because they think that it's the new rock star thing,
What's your motivation doing the films, Chris?
To get the word out, to get to inspire people, to get compassion and respect back for the spiritual world, and to give respect to the psychics and sensitives that are mocked, because there's a lot of sensitives and psychics that basically there might be a few that are taking money, and they're like immediately all of them are written off to be, oh yeah, right. And I'm going to tell you something, you cannot prove, nobody can prove that you didn't feel or see a ghost. They can only say, well, I didn't see it. Well, they didn't grant you an audience.
That's right.
And so everybody's opinion matters to a degree, and then the scientific kicks in. In the show The Possessed, we had Rick Hayes, who was our sensitive as a psychic, and we also had Bill Chappell's equipment. We had a biomonitor, biofeedback on his hands. It was all little things attached to his hands, to his head. And then we had at that time, the Ovilus, that was out, the normal puck, all that stuff, and many other gadgets all running at the same time. So when Rick said he felt something on his hands, we saw the biofeedback system showed that there was something touching his hands.
Okay.
So we actually backed up to what he was feeling. So I thought it was beautiful to be able to bring in all elements. It's kind of like the League of Paranormal Gentlemen. We all were able to have all these great people work as a team instead of work against each other.
When you do your films, is it the same crew every time? Is it like you've banded together and you work and you know what you're doing, or are there some people who think, hang on a minute, this is too heavy for me, and you have to get new people in?
Yeah, that happened on the Exorcist case. We had a lot of people leave us after we did The Haunted Boy. Something happened to one of the investigators in the room. He got burned. A cross-type shaped figure got burned on his neck.
Wow.
Yeah, it's in the movie The Haunted Boy, and there's no explanation for it. You can actually see his head, his neck, through thermal imager turning from yellow, which is moderate temperature, to red, which is about like 100 and whatever degrees. You can see it on the thermal imager, and then when he's starting to freak out. He goes, what's going on with my neck? And I go, nothing's going on with your neck. I go, well, and he goes, it's really hot. So the thermal imager went on, and it watched it get red to, the colors changed to that. And then, of course, when we pulled that away, we pulled them into the light, and it's on the film. You can see like a little white mark that's kind of like a cross on his neck. So that was, after that he quit.
Wow. Well, I don't know about you, Alan, but I always say to a lot of these producers, they ask for shows, I said, listen, if you were asking me to go into one of these places, unless you're looking to have a comedy show, I'm not going in there. Well, because the first time I see one of these things happen, I'm running out.
Well, I can tell you on all the different clearings that I've done, I've had shall we say, a demon go inside me 3 times, and it isn't an experience that I'm in a hurry to go through again. It's the most bizarre experience. And so if somebody gets possessed, and they're dealing with that all the time, then I can't even begin to imagine how they feel.
Chris, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
That's I've had the experience, so I do understand.
Well, I will tell Chris this. I'll tell you this also, Alan. My mother's a medium.
Yeah.
And my mother used to have seances in the house. And she'd do it with a couple of other people who were skilled. Happened by chance that one of them gets possessed. This woman who's 5'2" gets possessed by a male spirit. Now, I'm not saying a demon. I'm just saying right now from our understanding, a male spirit. This little woman threw around 3 people for 2 hours.
Wow.
I mean, grown men throwing them around like rag dolls until they tired her out and then it finally left. So there is something to be said about being very careful about playing around with these entities.
Yeah, indeed.
And you don't know. You know what? The concept of the dark side, the devil, we'll call them, is a kind of a scaredy cat. He's kind of a chicken shit. So basically,
he is, yeah.
The concept is he hides in cancer, and I'm not saying all cases. So don't get too literal about that. But he hides behind cancer. He hides behind financial loss. He hides behind people that takes drugs, and drug users are easier to control. And he can hide by that, do his damage, change somebody else's life, and then away without being suspected for it.
Interesting. So let me ask you, wouldn't this be a great show? And if you do it, I want royalties, me and Alan. Would it be a great show of just like demons versus angels, Wouldn't that be like a great movie?
The problem is it's exploiting. There are some things you should leave untouched. And the minute when you start touching it, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and the devil's winning. The minute you exploit an angel, then you're working for the devil. There are some things that needs to be remained as just respectful. And, it's like dancing on a grave. That's grave dancing. You don't do that. It's like a quick story is like, how do you get possessed? How did the boy in The Exorcist or, Reagan, Linda Blair, how did she get possessed? Well, the story has it that she got possessed by a Ouija board. Okay?
Okay.
Now, the Ouija board is just any kind of a contact, as much as in the olden days, if you listened to an EVP and you heard the EVP, you were possessed. That was first started to happen. They could come into your room even through a telephone or through speakers, audio speakers. If you listen, that's where that started. So and Ouija board is only a medium. I particularly don't. I have a 1949 Ouija board in my house, but not with a planchette, and I would never use it. But the concept is the aunt was trying to talk to the boy through the Ouija board, and when she died, the boy went back to the Ouija board and brought something else back that thought it was her, that thought, she thought it was the aunt. And so she brings this back in. So we asked William Bradshaw, going back to that, how do you think the boy was possessed? Do you think it was a Ouija board? And he said, no. And I went, well, then how do people get possessed? How does the devil control you? And he says, through smoking and drinking and murder and all that stuff. And I go, really? Well, smoking and drinking, well, let's go get possessed right now. And he laughs and he goes, no, let me tell you a story. He goes, at the very beginning, God and the devil knows that the same thing. He knows what kind of person you are. Remember, the devil used to be the right-hand man, the lawyer of basically God. He was the attorney to God, basically. Yes. So when he was kicked out, he knew everything. He knew everybody had a good plan. So it was his concept to ruin everybody's good plan. So here we are, out to do through our life to make humanity better, discover a cure for cancer, do everything we can to make the world better, to help, to be compassionate. Well, the devil knows that too. So he'll do everything he can to destroy your mission from doing something good for humanity. And that is turning you into alcoholic, turning you to do drugs, making you commit murder, molest, whatever it may be. And then he stopped you in your path to make the world a better place. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And the concept of smoking and drinking basically takes your life shorter, and then there's your son watching you die, and then it's ruined your life. So at that point, in a little bit of grain of salt, I said, thank you, that really made a lot of sense to me.
Because it also doesn't just ruin your life, it ruins all the other people's lives around you, doesn't it?
Exactly. The concept is, if anything, do it with moderation as far as drinking and whatever. There's no such thing as murder in moderation, but so Dexter's doing okay with that. But I thought that was a beautiful analogy of that. I really did. And he said it so sweetly when he said it that he started tears rolled down his eyes that he cared. So please understand, worship your body that you have. It's there. Everybody has something good to do. So get to that goal line.
It's like having a car, isn't it? If you don't look after it, it'll let you down, and your body is just the same.
Or a wife.
Well, Chris, you've had that happen 3 times, but we have a question from the chat room for you. And the question is, Chris, have you ever experienced anything from the divine?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. When I was 33, which is an interesting age, if you know what that age means, I played Jesus in a music video.
Okay.
And I got hung up in. We did actually what it was. We were a rock and roll band. We were like Guns N' Roses. And what we did was we went into the Joshua Tree out in the Johnson Valley or Mojave Desert and filmed. We put 3 crosses up there, and we did every part of the stations. We did that, and we did the Palm Sunday and got the donkey and a lot of extras dressed up biblical. We were basically doing a music video of The Last Temptation of Christ by Scorsese. And so, but we're doing it was a song called Like Father, Like Son. So I thought, well, that's cool. Let's do a music video about the ultimate father and son. Not that it was a Christian thing. It wasn't. It was just about basically, tell your father you love him before he dies because it's too late. So we thought that'd be really cool if the concept was Jesus and God. And, obviously Jesus is, God's father kind of thing. So it's cool. So we did this whole reenactment of, the Jesus thing. But on the 7th day came the time to get crucified. Me. I played Jesus. Mm-hmm. So here I am, and the weather takes a turn for the worst. And now it's pouring down and lightning. I'm going, this is great. And I'm getting real scared. So they put me up onto the cross. There's a little bicycle seat between my crotch so you can't see. It looks like I'm nailed on there, but I'm tied on it. The rope ties me on it. So it looks like I'm really crucified on it. I got these nails that are super glued to my hand, So I'm playing Jesus, in this video. And it's pouring down, and I'm feeling really, oh my God, I'm just feeling overwhelmed and just scared. I'm starting to feel scared. I don't know why. Intuition, maybe. And suddenly, the clouds open up just in a circle right above the cross and shines this bright light down. And I'm going, oh my God. And it's in the music video. It's incredible. I have pictures on my Facebook. Actually, Jesus for One Day in my albums. And that was it. The 40 extras that were playing all the biblical people they went on their knees. It was so intense because it felt so real. And at that moment, I had this epitome of what it must have really felt like for this Jesus guy, his humility, his embarrassment, his demeaning he went through, and I was only there to try. Whether you believe he's Jesus Christ, the Son of God, or he's just a prophet, the story is still good. It's positive. It's to help people. So it doesn't really mean that much in the sense of the outcome of the concept. The story is great. So you must believe in good stories. But I felt what it must have felt like to gone through all that. And then with the light coming down on the cross, and then after they pulled me down off the cross, I was really quiet, and I started to see the world different. Everything was brighter. The grass was greener. The animals were more vibrant. I swear, for a few months, I felt like I could see air go through the trees. It was intense. And I was always staring at trees, and I don't know why. I just stared. I'd be eating steak in the house, and I would turn and I'd look at trees. And I don't know why I got locked onto trees and human nature. And then I was so overwhelmed with just, the divine. And then, of course, we had found out that our mom was dying of cancer. So we flew, and I was still full of this divine light and energy. And I walked in, and the hospice nuns looked at me, and my eyes were like really awake. And they went, "Wow!" And then I told them the story, and they believed that God had touched me for just that, half a millisecond or whatever happened. And I was there to help my mom let go because she was in really bad shape. And the thing that needed to save her was the yew tree, which was a experimental drug at the time, which would help them, came from the yew tree to help her, beat this cancer. So I talked her into, taking this experimental thing which would help her from trees. So at that point, it was just, I was able to, I believe, help her deal with letting go and not be scared about going to the pastures and to the light. And then, of course, like anything, it disappeared after a few months. It faded.
Yep. Okay.
So.
Well, we have another question. And Chris Day said, have you seen the footage of the new Pope doing with what people say is an exorcism?
No. I've seen a lot of, well, first of all, I don't know if you guys know this, but if it's a real exorcism, the Vatican bans any kind of film recorders filming any kind of exorcism. So if there's an exorcism being filmed, the chances are it's not blessed by the Vatican.
Okay.
You're not allowed to film an exorcism.
On that note, somebody's actually written on there saying there's no such thing as the devil.
Then there's no such thing as God. As long as you believe that, you're correct. You just have to you cannot believe in one or the other. There is no devil, there is no God, then it's understandable. But if you believe in God, then you have to believe in the devil.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's hot. There's hot water, there's cold water.
Yeah.
There's black and there's white. There's complete opposites all the time. If you don't believe in hot water, there's no cold water. So if you don't believe the devil, you're in actually kind of a good place. If you don't believe in God, then you're in a good place and the devil won't hurt you. But the thing is, like Dalai Lama says, atheists are fine. But and I always believe that, which all religions are one, and and whatever you believe in is beautiful. And if you don't believe, it's fine too. But if you're going to believe in one thing, please believe in compassion.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what Dalai Lama said at the show we had went, and that really stuck. And another thing that Dalai Lama said that was beautiful was, and I think this is great and worth repeating, one man can kill somebody and be called a murderer and go to jail, where when one person can kill 100,000, he's called a hero.
Yeah.
It all depends how you're looking at it, right?
Yeah. So
one person's freedom fighter is another person's terrorist.
So the great thing is, if you believe in the devil, or if you believe in God, then you could get possessed. So you're going to ask for an exorcism. If you don't believe in the devil, then that's fine. But you can't believe in God neither.
That's really cool. So,
would you say, Chris, that because of the films that you've made and you still make, and obviously there has to be negativity there in the actual storyline, do you think any of that has a knock-on effect within you personally at all?
Yeah, well, being an HSP, it's pretty bad. I mean, seeing the poor dogs, obviously, not to mention children and animals really destroy me, and old people destroy me in the sense when I see them get exploited or they get hurt. So it's really hard to, watch, it seems Facebook fad is people putting up dogs being tortured now. And I think that I understand the concept. I really do, but enough is enough. The dogs being exploited, but you're exploiting them again by putting them up with the dignity. There's a place and a time for it. But the thing is that is so sensitive to me that it will destroy me for a day. And so being involved with the sadness of the darkness and that, I try to, like the Dalai Lama, he's got one of the greatest things he has is his laugh. He laughs, he just laughs about it because it's some kind of an output to stop it from getting too serious. And you shouldn't take anything too serious.
I do totally understand where you're coming from. And I don't like watching anything negative, but if you see something on the TV or something and it's about something awful that happened, I can sit there and tears can just roll down my cheeks. I've got no kind of control over it, and I suppose that's getting a kind of emotion out of me.
Why? Because it proves you have compassion, and that's what is the main goal of peace and about everything. You can't hurt somebody. Remember the enemy. To kill an enemy, do not look them in the face. Do not treat them like a human, so you're able to kill and walk away. The minute you put a name to a face and you're going to shoot them, you're going to feel bad, and then you don't make a good soldier. So the concept of being compassionate is why it's so important. Is that it could become world peace at that point. Why I can't do anything to you because I know how it would feel to me or my family, and I can't do it. You have to live with that. So, showing that kind of emotion is really beautiful.
Well, it's just something that's uncontrollable sometimes, so that's how it is. And you were on about trees. I have a fascination with trees as well. Where we live, I'm very fortunate. There's a lot of trees around, and I can just stare at them for hours and hours.
Well, the tree is the oldest connection, also for Joe, who's the alien expert, that the most abducted people on record are Native Americans.
Yes.
Which is classified as the first real human being that they want to study with the artificial chips that get put into their necks. So we did a study on that and realized that the most abducted people have Native American blood in them.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. I never really thought about that.
No. You've got the Native American people, and then on the other side of the planet, you've got the Aboriginal people, and then if you go north, you've got the Eskimo. There's different races on this planet that are totally unique from the majority of the rest of the planet.
Yeah, it's all beautiful because it's all great culture. The Hindu and it's all beautiful. I mean, it really is. Unfortunately, what blows me away is the most holiest cities have the most machine guns. That's what's crazy about it. You see people in Bethlehem where Jesus is, supposed to be from, and they carry the most serious weapons there.
Well, Chris, you've evolved your spirituality, where you've gone from porn to music to now making these documentaries. What's your next goal there? What's your next step?
Oh, back to porn.
So you've come full circle? Is that what you're saying?
Oh no, I'm just teasing. No, there's nothing wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a wild side as much as a spiritual side. I think it's all about balance. It's about it's about balance. That's really what it's about. There's nothing. I mean, no offense, but I mean, it's somebody says like, hey, have you ever tried heroin? And you go like, yeah, I did, but you know what? I'm off of it, and I got myself off of it. I've never done heroin, but I'm just saying, I got off of it and I walked away from it. And they said, well, you know what? I've never tried it, and I never would. Well, who's stronger? The guy that took it and walked away, or the guy that never tried it? To get back to the Dalai Lama, it was a fascinating interview. Does he ever drunk? Ever have a drink? No. Does he ever smoke? No. Does he ever get tempted by women? I love that question. Because his answer was like, well, I see women. I go, very, very nice. But it's funny. He goes, but then I meet the colleagues and my people, and there they are with their first wife, and then next month they have their second wife, and then a year later they have their third wife. So I go now that I see them, they go, very, very nice, but you're too much trouble. So, the whole point is what's in the future is whatever we do, I'm getting more spiritually enlightened and very much into wanting to push the inspiration. But I think what we're doing right now is more music and more movies. And because everything we do, you can see at www.spookedtv.com if all our films are there. And also we're on the Sci-Fi Channel and the Chiller Channel, and we're on the road doing several gigs. If you go to my Facebook page, Christopher St. Booth at Facebook, and go into the notes, there's tour dates there, and we're playing Louisville, Kentucky on August 3rd to 5th, doing a convention, a paranormal, really big paranormal convention, the LGHS Paranormal Convention on that. And we're just continuing to do what we believe in, whatever that may be, whether it's movies, music, inspiring people. All we want is people just to, if they're having a bad day, have a good day after they talk with us. That's all.
And would you say that you want your films to sort of leave a legacy of, when they leave, they are a little bit better than when they started?
Yeah, I think doing something that makes you think is really cool. I mean, there's nothing like I don't see anything inspiring personally in the Hostel movies or the paranormal craptivity movies. I find them really stupid. If I wanted to, especially being a paranormal, and I know all you paranormal investigators can appreciate, there's nothing fun at watching 4 hours of night vision until you find something that happens. And now we're going to watch Paranormal Activity and see a stationary camera sit there for hours, and then something's going to make you jump. I understand that they're made for the viewers, but for the professional paranormal people, that's garbage. It really is.
Yeah. You're right. You couldn't have that all that happen in a month, forget about in one movie with one camera.
I did love the movie Haunted House, if you saw that. That's funny, where they have the cameras monitoring the maid and stuff. I thought that was pretty funny, But I just think anything that's, whatever you do it, believe in what you do. And if you don't, then find something you do believe in. And you don't need to believe necessarily in any God. You just need to believe in yourself, and whatever you do, just be good to people. After all, good is only missing one O, and then it's a godly thing to do,
Cool. Yeah,
Chris,
we want to thank you so much for coming here today, for enlightening us, of showing you how you do your life and how your life has progressed. And Alan, I hope you agree. I'm very excited for the development of Chris, how he's come along, and I'm excited for his new projects of probably going to be more spiritual based, where you're going to help out a lot more people.
I'll tell you something. Chris has got you've got your own unique way, Chris, of putting the message out there, and it's actually needed. We all have our own way of doing it, and I think you do yours in an entertaining, but in a kind of a respectable way. You don't preach, but you show. And people can make their own mind up.
I've seen a lot of terrible stuff, and I think the one way that really would help is if we had meditation in school, and we could have it, even if it's starting at 5 to 10 minutes a day. I think we'd see the bullying slow down. I think we'd find the self discipline better, the self-esteem better. There would be far less suicides, far more problems with the children if they could understand meditating and get in touch with themselves. I think that's a really important thing to do in school.
Cool. Well, Chris, we want to thank you for coming on the show. I know it took us a long time to connect, but it happened, and we're so happy for you to come here. And we actually can't wait for you to finish your other project, so that somewhere down the line we can have you on again to see the progression. And Alan,
you
know what's kind of crazy?
What's that?
Is that our time is up here again. It just happens that fast.
It does. You're right. It does. Chris, it's absolutely great to talk to you again.
Yeah.
You guys as well. Thank you very much for having me, and we'll just keep in touch, and and you can see where we're heading. I mean, eventually we'll be posting pictures of us on the set making this movie, and also, finishing Voodoo and Vampire and the other stuff we're doing. But we're doing it a little bit more slower because we want to really enjoy what we're doing. We don't just want to bang it out, and there's enough stuff banged out on TV as it is.
All right. On that note, guys, I want to say goodnight to everybody around the world. I want to say that come next week, we're going to have a psychic surgeon come. So if you're a person that has a malady, he specializes in schizophrenia. If you have anything that's going on, bring your relatives. Invite people who are sick. Invite everybody to the show, because when we go to the lines, he's going to go out there and help people. And I'd like to see if this really works, because I have never, ever met a psychic surgeon. And so, you know what? It's going to be exciting. Andrew Porter is going to be on next week, right, Alan?
That's right, yes. I know Andy, and I've known him a few years, and he's quite an incredible guy. And, it'll be a good show.
Well, catch us on Facebook, knowledgeofspirit.com. And like I said, sign up for the free magazine, and we will see you next week.
Good night.